Welcome to Access a Trader, the #1 community for those who are committed to taking control of their trading in order to achieve success, profitability, and longevity. Thank you for joining us. Here's Dan Shapiro to help you find your edge, master your process, and own your future.
Hey guys, good evening everybody. Welcome to another edition of the AccessATrader.com nightly wrap-up show. Hope everybody is doing well, folks. If you can do me a favor, if you like the broadcast, if it's giving you value, if it's giving you a pretty decent perspective of what the market potentially could do the next day, all I ask is take 1 second out, click a like, support the channel, and again, hopefully I will continue to do my best to guide you in the right direction. So we had a couple of days of rallies, a couple of days of negating bad news, couple of days that you saw some groups start to wake up. And the question was from last night's video, well, can the market put up another day? Can the market reclaim back? Can the Qs get back above the 10-day moving average that it got rejected yesterday? While the mega cap space, right? And that's kind of been the redheaded stepchild, no offense to any redheads. But that was the question. Can we rally? Can we get above that level if the mega cap space is weak? We got that answer right away. And the answer was no. All it was basically from the point of reference was a couple of days of just a little bit of relief. And today, pretty violent move down. Once again, you had the Dow down 260 points, the S&P down 1% or 60 points, and you have the NASDAQ continuing to get hit, right? To get hit. And basically today took back the last 2 days of a bounce attempt, and we closed right underneath the 5-day moving average, which is obviously a big no-no because it took a couple of days to kind of reclaim it. So obviously not a good sign for the bulls. The couple of big stories for today, you had a second series of let's give peace a chance. Trump was on the phone with Putin for about an hour and a half, measuring their private parts. I'm the best, you're the best, we're all the best, the two biggest egos on the planet. And we basically got resolved after an hour and a half of this riveting conversation. They both figured out that the world is safer under the leadership and the guidelines of Trump and Putin. I'm just the messenger, man. Don't jump me, right? It's like yelling at the sportscaster for telling you your team lost. That was literally, right? And again, it's pretty laughable, but that was literally the headline that broke that Trump and Putin, the two biggest egos on the planet, announced to the world's a better place. We got this. We got this. Other biggest story, right, was the NVIDIA, right? NVIDIA presentation. They did a collabo deal with General Motors. They did some other cool stuff. Yada, yada, yada. Nobody cared because as soon as the presentation was underway, they started hitting this thing with 115 puts into strength, and it got sold. Guys, remember, in a sell cycle environment, nobody cares what the news is. Okay, you would need to be in absolute God mode, right? An absolute God mode for a headline for make your stock go up on positive news. Nobody cares compared to a bull market that anything, you say the word AI, your stock would go up 4 or 5%. So selling off on the presentation. You got the Trump headlines coming in. The one thing that's really very interesting, I tweeted this out this morning. It's very odd to me, right? Bitcoin has been sitting under 3 to 4 month lows now for about 2 weeks. Remember we talk about if it starts cracking at 89, 90 area, it's still hanging around the 80,000 area. I'm very surprised. Like I'm very, very surprised that Bitcoin, again, especially with all the money coming out of asset classes, you would figure that this thing would wash. Like I am very, very surprised. Like, in other words, let me switch around. I'm shocked that Bitcoin hasn't washed out into the 70s, into the 70,000 area. Again, I don't have a dog in the fight. I'm just kind of you're just speaking out loud based on all the other asset classes getting pulled. But it's something you really want to watch. When you go into tomorrow's session, yes, everything is beaten up. Everything continues to get beaten up. We talked about Tesla last night. Tesla got, again, just smashed, just absolute smashed. The only difference for today compared to yesterday, they're coming, guys. They're coming for the 220, the 215, the 210s, and the 200 weekly puts. There is a high probability in the next couple of days, if we start retesting back the March lows, if we start cracking that March low, man, there's a shot we could go under 200. This is definitely one to watch in the next couple of days. Mixed results a little bit today with Tesla. I had a rejection on Tesla, and that's when they had to give peace a chance scenario, lost $1 on it earlier. And then we had a really nice pivot in the afternoon below that 226. If you look at the 60-minute view, 226 kept on holding twice, and then they just unleashed a nice $3.50 candle towards the end of the day. So that was pretty good. Google, it has got murdered today. We had a really nice pivot on Google today, below the 6137 level. Look at Reddit, man. Guys, look at Reddit. Reddit is very, very close, right? Reddit is very, very close, folks, losing the 200-day moving average. See how close this thing is? Right? Reddit is very, very close to losing the 200-day moving average. It's definitely one to watch for the next couple of days. Again, if you thought the 50-day moving average was a big deal, right? Just look where the Qs are after they lost the 200-day, right? The Qs lost the 200-day at 491. We traded all the way down to 466 in a matter of 4 sessions. Look at Reddit. Reddit is just holding on, right? Holding on to the 200-day moving average. Definitely one to watch in the next couple of days. In case Bitcoin washes out, guys, look at Coinbase's chart, right? Look at the base putting on Coinbase. It's just a matter of time. If they wash out Bitcoin, Coinbase is going to follow through this range. A cheaper way to play the Bitcoin in case it does wash out, look at Mara. Look how long this base is. This is a base going back to February the 25th, right? This is the bottom of the range here is held 3 times. So this is definitely a cheaper way, in case you have a smaller account. This is a cheaper way to play kind of the Bitcoin wash, if indeed it does happen. So other names that I definitely like going into the next couple of days, look at NVIDIA, right? Look at NVIDIA. NVIDIA today, again, got sold off the conference, or at least the presentation. It stopped right on the 10-day moving average. You see this green line? It stopped right on the 10-day moving average. Keep an eye on this thing the next couple of days, guys. If this thing loses the 10-day moving average, we should get a move back to the recent lows. Look at SMCI, right? You see how it's sitting on the 50-day moving average, folks, right? You see how it's sitting on the 50-day? This thing starts losing the 50-day moving average tomorrow. You're going to get some pretty aggressive selling that's going to follow through. Let me give you one more. Look at Carvana, right? Look at Carvana. Engulfed the last 2 days worth of a rally attempt. Now it's very close to a last week's low. So the theme continues, right? The theme continues. Yes, are we super, did we get super, well, I say we, did the investors get super violated, right? The last 4 weeks? Absolutely, right? Does it seem like there's no light and end of the tunnel? I know it seems that way. I know. If you're an investor, I hear you. I really do. But the cool part about the market, again, like I've been saying this for years and years and years, go back, right? Go back to 200 years. Eventually, it's going to find its way back to the highs. It might not happen in the next couple of weeks or next couple of days or next couple of months, but eventually it will happen. So if you are an investor, my biggest advice to you is history will be okay on your side, right? The problem is we don't know when history is going to actually wake up. And the fact that we had such a big, big run over the last, 2 years or so, there's no question, there's no answer of how long this sell-off will come. Yes, I admit, is it much trickier than the first 3 weeks of the sell-off? Absolutely. Because again, keep this in mind, my big trade was shorting Tesla below the 50-day moving average, My next big trade was shorting Tesla below the 200-day moving average and then below the 150-day moving average, right? So here it's getting harder and harder, right? It's getting harder and harder. Look, I mean, it's down, what, 150 points since the 50-day moving average? So it's getting harder and harder. But again, what choice do you have, right? What choice do you have? You wait for consolidation. You wait for 3, 4, 5-day range. You wait for that range to get clipped. And you go in, right? You go in, obviously you're not going max size. You're going in quarter, third, half size, depending your experience level. And if that area gets compromised, there's a reload buyer, reload seller. You get out of the trade. Take a dollar loss, whatever, heavy, blah, blah, blah. You can always get back in the trade. But what we've seen all, this whole move down, when you're hitting these trades, man, they're going down $3, $4, $5, $6, $7, $8, $10 per candle. And that's the cool spot, right? Nick knees, right? You want a lot of Nick knees. You want some Robitussin on your knees. Those are the trades that are called the cost of doing business. But when these things start to expand, right? When these things absolutely start to expand, that's when you're making the bulk of your load. And that's the most important part. The people who are still buying dips, again, at this juncture, I don't know what to tell you. I just don't. And I'm not saying that from a sarcastic point of view. I mean, every opportunity from the 50-day to the 200-day moving average, the market was screaming at you that, hey, there's technical damage. So my point is what's done is done. But the last thing you should be doing is throwing good money after bad. If you want your stocks to start going back up, you have to let them organically in time, right? In time, reclaim these big levels that you lost. By keep on buying the dip, buying the dip, buying the dip. And yeah, maybe you get lucky. Maybe the day that you buy the dip, that is the low. But eventually their low has to come. So if you're buying the low every single day, eventually you'll be right. However, keep this in mind. The market doesn't need to do anything. The market doesn't have to do anything in timely fashion. The market doesn't have to appease you. It doesn't have to make you whole. It doesn't have to do anything to you. It doesn't owe you anything. It's there to function. Buyers clean up sellers, stocks go higher. Sellers clean up buyers, stocks go lower. And that's it, right? And that is absolutely it. So tomorrow, we have a lot on our plate. Let's see what confirms. Let's see if Tesla starts taking down last week's lows. Let's watch if NVIDIA loses the 10-day moving average. Let's watch if SMCI loses the 50-day moving average. Let's watch if Reddit loses the 200-day moving average, and on and on and on. Guys, God bless everybody. Have a great night. And with God's help, I'll see you all in the field tomorrow.